fellas, in today's video I'll be covering Groot in the simplified Marvel Rivals guide. Groot is a Vanguard, a tank, and is a favorite from the Marvel series, but can be pretty daunting to play. You will need to know good positioning to make use of his skills, but with a bit of work, you can be the new star player on your team. Groot is not too complicated to learn, but getting some games under your belt will let you get a good feel for him. He shines by controlling the field, blocking a ton of damage, and being an overall powerful tank. Overall, making him an easy pick for any team, and in this video, I'll cover his combos, playstyle, and more, so whether you're new to Groot or need a Season 1 refresher, this video will be for you. His offensive toolkit consists of his base attack that hits fast for good range and damage, a wall that will attack enemies your team is attacking. He has a spore grenade that will damage twice for an area of effect. He also has a melee that will launch enemies into the air, hitting them 3 times, topping off with his ultimate that imprisons enemies, doing plenty of damage. His defensive support toolkit consists of another type of wall that will give Groot bonus health, technically his passive that makes walls give special effect, and his other passive that grants bonus health and will give Rocket or Jeff damage reduction. Now let's dive deeper into his abilities and how to use them. Starting off, we have his basic attack, Vine Strike. Vine Strike hits every 0.7 seconds, going up to 20 meters for 70 damage. The projectile speed is pretty fast, but does not crit, meaning it's best to aim for the chest on the enemy, and for most squishies, 4 hits will take him down. His next is Furious Flora. This performs a 3-hit combo, and will slightly launch enemies up into the air on that 3rd hit. The first 2 attack will hit for 3 meters, with the 3rd hit hitting for 4 meters. And that launch into the air does not do too much, but it helps with positioning a little bit. Chaining this with your basic attack will be a good way to get in some quick damage. And it's good for getting kills, especially if you catch the enemy by surprise. I think it is best to melee weave with Groot, as opposed to just using his base attack or just focusing on his melees. But it'll be very situational. Groot's second attack is Spore Bomb. This has a downward delay and an area of effect once it explodes. The actual projectile does not do any damage itself. The bomb will do 55 damage in a 5-meter radius, and those little bombs that appear out of it do 10 damage in a 1.5-meter radius. This can be used every 6 seconds, so it's best to use often, especially while you're attacking. Before getting to the walls, let's look at the passive that makes them good, Floral Colossus. Groot's walls will awaken and do their special effect. It has a range of 20 meters, meaning walls outside of the 21-meter mark will just be walls. And it also has a height effect of 40 meters. Using his shift ability will be Thorn Lash Wall. This can be spawned within 15 meters and it has a 6-second cooldown, but with 2 charges. This wall, when Groot is close, will attack enemies that your team or Groot is attacking and deal 60 damage per hit. This also has a health bar of 250. This is great in general for blocking paths, but will also help with taking down the other team. You can also adjust the angling of this depending on how you want to place it, meaning you will be able to place this over doorways so that when your team is attacking the foes coming through the door, this will do bonus damage that they may not see coming. And then just as a general, you can have 3 of these walls up at one time. And of course, if you need to retreat them, sometimes you place them poorly. Pressing F will let you recall them, and this does reduce the cooldown. Now we have Groot's E ability, which is Ironwood Wall. It's very similar to the Thorn Lash Wall, but this one can only be placed 10 meters away. And then very similar with the angling, you can press E to adjust it. However, this one has a cooldown of 8 seconds with 700 health. Now this wall is a lot bigger, but the main difference is when you attack an enemy, Groot gets bonus health. As you can see, we're at 890 from that one hit. This will give 40 health a second, up to a bonus 250 health. So even if you don't use this wall for healing, it's a great way to block a path and delay the enemy from moving out of a zone for a short period. As a good tip, you can place the wall a little bit out of the way so that it stays safe. And that way, when you attack enemies, you still get the bonus health with the wall that they may not focus on, allowing you to absorb and take more damage. Next, we have Groot's ultimate, Strangling Prison. This will fire a projectile, and when it lands, it has an 8-meter radius and lasts 3.5 seconds. So the projectile itself only does 10 damage, with the explosion doing 70. This will pull in enemies and imprison them, doing 20 damage every 0.5 seconds. This means if every single hit hits the target, they will take 220 damage, which isn't all that great, but it does gather the enemies in range. That makes this a really great opener ultimate, as throwing your Spore Bomb down will end up killing most squishies. If you throw a wall down either during it or right before it, this will block access for most of the healers, while also healing yourself and doing a bonus 60 damage per hit. and since all the enemies are locked in, this makes it easier for them to be hit. It's a really great ultimate, you just have to put in a little bit of work to get the most out of it. And then lastly, we have his team up with Jeff the Shark and Rocket Raccoon. They will ride on Groot's shoulders just like this and take a 33% damage reduction. This of course allows for easier healing by them. This will allow for easier healing by them while they take reduced damage. They can also hop off very easily in case they are close to death. These are both very common characters, which of course is a bonus. And it's pretty darn cute to see them riding on your shoulder. And then lastly for season 1, Groot does have a bonus health of 150. And now that's the gist of his abilities. Let's hop into some matches to see him in action. Groot is a team player working best on the front lines, close to his team, paying attention to the map and location to make the most out of his walls, whether it be for blocking attacks or setting up a deadly zone. He has a lot of unique elements that does take time to properly learn, but feels great once it's locked down. I find him best used as a hyper-aggressive tank, soaking up a ton of damage and dealing incredible damage back. He creates a lot of pressure thanks to his walls, making him feel almost like a DPS, but he can also be defensive too, protecting your team and objectives, blocking paths, and funneling the other team. Knowing when to switch between the two is what makes a good Groot player great. This means the perfect counter to Groot will literally be taking down his walls, or using heroes like Spider-Man or Wolverine, who can pull him away from his group. And as great as Groot is, he is not a mobile character and honestly is very slow. He also requires a lot of input and reading the area and other team. Real effort will be required, but the reward is worth it. Now, the healing wall is wider with more health, making it great for use to block lanes and line of sight. Just remember though, if you block their line of sight, you block your team's line of sight. This should be the wall used defensively, while the attacking wall is better on the offensive, since it does have a lot less health, allowing it to be defeated faster. It also can be placed horizontally, making it harder to hit and still attack for you. On the objective or during a choke point, placing your healing wall nearby so it's not being attacked, but you still get the healing from it, will be best. This provides constant healing for you, while you use the attacking wall for blocking and dealing damage. Where and when to use them will vary during matches. I can't recommend enough playing some Doom Patrol or practice matches, as this will really help getting a general feel before hopping into casual or ranked. When the walls aren't needed, you can take them down, which will help with the cooldown as well. As the frontman, Groot will often deal with clusters. His Spore Bomb is ideal here, as it hits wide and twice, which should cause them to start to panic and scatter. Using the attack wall is a good combo with this as well, especially for singling out targets. Of course, Groot's ultimate is great on its own, but it really shines when your team also has their ults too. Groot will draw in and lock down enemies, allowing your team to unleash a devastating ult, which should be enough to get in some eliminations. And with Groot, you do need to have good situational awareness and be careful at placement. Yes, an attacking wall behind an enemy is great for blocking off their escape while you deal 2 sources of damage, but if you block off your team with your walls, this hinders their play and effectiveness and may cause their death. Another good tip is to press his basic attack. Do not hold it. It's a projectile with no area of effect, meaning you do need to be accurate, although you will be close range often, making it easy to aim. But you don't want to be in the middle of aiming and having your attack go off, causing you to miss. Tap the attack will be a better way to play. You can also animation cancel with your melee. Weaving this in will let you get in more damage faster. And that's a wrap on this simple Groot Marvel Rivals guide. Tell me, did I miss anything, or do you have any tips of your own that you think other people should know? Leave it in the comments below. And hey, hit that like button if you're still watching, subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next one.